Hi, my name is Patrick. Now, one of the important or good ways to try to improve your score is to experiment with the strategy. We normally recommend that people should follow different type of strategies to figure out what works for them, what does not work for them. So think of strategies that can be formed that you feel you're comfortable and use it. But when you form strategies, there are some basic rules that you need to follow. You experiment with strategies, but these rules will help you to formulate strategies that you feel when you form a strategy, it feels you can work for. So we'll just give you broad guidelines. There'll be one more video where we'll talk about the different strategies that you can follow. But first, I think you should know the basic rules and why it is formed. Right. So we do run courses for the CAT and year-end entrance examinations. The first and the most important rule: go through all questions in the given time. So when you have a section, con section, ensure that all the questions which are there, you go through it in the given time frame. Okay. Normally, what I've seen is people who don't go to all the questions and what questions they've left. Those questions tend to be sitters. I'll give you an example of mine. I remember in the first CAT when I'd gone for the exam. That time it was a paper-based test. So people wrote the test and they left out the last 5, 6 questions because whatever the paper was lengthy, etc. They went from 1, 2, 3, 4 solving. Fine, all that is fine. But in the end, they didn't have a time to even look, forget solve, look at the last 5 questions. And when we came out of the examination hall and we discussed, we realized that last 5 questions were the sitters. In a sense, you could easily solve them in 30 seconds. They were easy questions, very easy questions compared to the rest of the paper. Okay, and those who did not solve lost out on those 5 questions. Okay, and because of that, obviously they lost out on the call. That time there were a lot of questions in the paper. Okay, but yes, but 5 questions were a big deal. So in that case, losing out on 5 questions automatically mean that they lost out. So it should not happen with you. So when you go for the exam, it's okay to solve from first, second, third, fourth, or from last to first, whichever strategy you follow. But ensure that you go through all the questions in the given time frame. Therefore, I normally recommend, this is what I recommend, that you should finish your paper. Suppose it's a 40-minute paper. You should finish the first round of the paper in at least 30 minutes. At least 30 minutes. One normal strategy we normally say is go through all the questions before you even start solving the paper. That ensures that you've gone through all the papers and you don't miss out on sitters. But yes, try to modify the strategy based on what you're comfortable with, and we'll come up with the alternate strategies in the next video. But yes, this is the most important rule, that you have to ensure that you go through, at least read all the questions or go through all the questions in the given time frame. It should not happen that you've not even seen a question and that turns out to be sitter, because it takes hardly 10 seconds to read a question. Remember that. It's worth investing 10 questions for a particular. Second rule, identify toughness of the questions quickly. In a sense, like a lot of people, what I've seen, I normally tell them to go to the first round of reading all the questions. That's first strategy I tend to follow. And they spend 10 to 12 minutes on first round. It's too higher time. You should be able to identify the toughness of this question quickly, within 15 seconds, if possible 10 seconds, if not 15 seconds. Don't try to solve. The moment you try to solve a question, you will end up wasting 30 seconds, because you will start thinking, formulating the answers in your mind. All that will take you. You should be able to identify by reading the question. That's the first. So if you find after reading that the question is tough, you should leave it. There are very, very few people who can actually solve all the questions. For them, it's fine. They end up solving most of the questions in the exam. So even if they waste time on some questions, that's fine. But most of the people can hardly solve half the questions. That means you will tend to leave 11 off questions. Assuming 22 questions, you will tend to leave 11 questions in the exam. And even if you spend 1 minute per question just wasting on each question, you already wasted 11 minutes just by reading questions. So ensure that you learn to leave questions quickly. Okay. If you analyze your own paper, you will realize that most of your time is wasted in questions which either you have not solved or you marked the question wrong. Check out your analysis. After your mock, just analyze the question and figure it out. So in that case, learn this and remember this rule in terms of forming a strategy. Third, learn to leave tough or lengthy questions quickly. Okay. So if you find a lengthy question, okay, maybe you're strong at it, maybe you're good at it, but at least leave it in the first round. Don't solve in the first round. It should not happen. You try one question for a long period of time in the first round, you waste your time. That could end up, putting pressure on you. You can come back in the second round. After you've gone through all the questions, come back in the second round. So it's very important that at least in the first round, learn to leave any question that you find tough or lengthy. Not leave it. Come back in the second round, start thinking it. The first round, only solve the easy questions. This is specifically important for students who are strong in an area. So avoid ego. Suppose I'm very strong in maths or a particular topic. People tend to waste a lot of time on those questions on their topic, on a topic they're comfortable with. Okay. Not realizing that if the question is tough, you're going to spend a lot of time and you may not be able to get the answer. So avoid ego on those questions. Try solving. I'm not saying solve questions that you're comfortable with or topic you're comfortable with. But if you don't get the answer, learn to leave the question. Okay, I've seen when I analyze my students' mark, I've seen people wasting 5 minutes, 7 minutes on a question and not even solving it, leaving the question. I mean, it is a waste of time. So ensure that, and if you analyze your mock, in most of the cases, people who spend more time on a question tend to leave that question. Therefore, it is very important you should know when to leave a question. And moment you learn to leave a question quickly, you should be able to save time to solve more number of questions. Avoid ego issues, right? Hope this helps. We'll come up with new videos regarding different strategies that can be adopted for the con section, the next video. So tune in and you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you.